Chapter 6. The Oppressor of Auras. The echoes of battle faded as a frigid wind swept through the ruins. The liberated warriors looked up at the sky in horror, recognizing that presence immediately. Piccolo turned his head. Around him, the floating devices continued to throb, feeding on the captive's fear with a sickly glow. "Shh," he growled, raising his hand. "Your damn harvest ends here!" He launched a key wave that destroyed the devices, one after another, until they were reduced to smoking scrap metal. Halira looked toward the horizon with a shadow of concern. This city is one of the largest on Toria, but it's not the only one. If they're using those harvesters here, they must be active in other places as well. Suddenly, an imposing figure descended from the gray clouds. His dark aura spread like black flames that warped the air around him. Behind him floated a group of warriors, all radiating the same corrupt and unnatural ki. The liberated inhabitants recoiled, falling to their knees before the mere pressure of his ki. Even Trunks and Goten shuddered as a chill ran down their spines. "He is Gravek," Halira whispered, a tremor of rage tensing her voice. "Their energies are different," Piccolo warned, sensing every variation in the air. "It's not just mind control. There's something strange about them." The villain touched down with an unsettling grace. He crossed his arms, observing first the smoking wreckage of his machines and then the intruders. "Interesting," Gravek said, his voice calm but tinged with absolute authority. "So you are the ones responsible for freeing my puppets." Piccolo took a step forward, ignoring the pressure of the environment. He pointed to the wreckage of one of the floating devices. "Why do you use those machines? What kind of energy are you harvesting?" Gravek looked at him for only an instant with frozen contempt. "It is not something your minds can grasp. What does intrigue me is..." His eyes narrowed. "Where have you come from?" Halira stepped in between them. "I brought them through the white dimension to stop you," Halira responded with a firm and defiant voice. Gravek let out a short, dry laugh that made the air run cold. "Ah, the fugitive. I remember you. You were the one who escaped to the Forbidden World, and now you think you can stand in my way. What a pathetic blunder this is." His eyes fixed once more on Piccolo, Trunks, and Goten. The silence that followed was dense, almost unbearable, until a youthful and nonchalant voice broke it. "Hey, who are you supposed to be?" Goten blurted out in a mocking tone. "The guy running this circus?" Trunks' face tensed as he took a step forward. "Hold on. How did you know which of the portals led to Earth?" Gravek tilted his head, and an expression of smugness crossed his face. "The portals are not placed at random, boy. That dimension reflects the order of the universe. To the ignorant, it is all a sea of identical doors. But we know that order. We know how to read it. And that is how we identified the one that leads to your world." Halira tensed her posture and spoke in a low, firm voice. "They have been using the doors to recruit and corrupt other worlds. That dimension has been their network of conquest." Piccolo frowned. "So that's how it is. Then they've mastered the structure of that place from the inside." Gravek extended an arm, and his dark aura billowed like a living cloak. "Even if you hail from the Forbidden World, you are nothing but scum before me. By coming here, all you have achieved is accelerating our plans." The warriors accompanying him advanced a few steps, each emanating a strange ki, distinct from that of the Torians. Gravek motioned for them to stop, without taking his eyes off Goten and Trunks. "Let no one interfere," he sneered. "These two are mine." The dark soldiers instantly went still in the background. Piccolo did not look away from them. "So that's it. Then he's not just controlling your people, Halira. He's gathering an army from across the universe." Gravek laughed with arrogance. "It is pointless. No matter how many you free, There will always be more. Your mercy will be your undoing. Every time you hesitate to attack, you will only grow weaker against me." Goten's gaze hardened as he suddenly transformed into a Super Saiyan. His golden aura tore through the air. "Looks like you got too cocky this time." "What incredible power!" Milana cried out, hopeful. "We're not going to let you take advantage of anyone else," Trunks said. The ground shook under the pressure of Goten's aura. Gravek, far from being fazed, slowly raised his hand. Silence fell like a weight upon everyone. "He's more powerful than I expected," Piccolo commented, surprised. "Beings of this magnitude are rare in the universe, and his energy is truly strange. Something here doesn't quite fit, but even so, he doesn't appear to stand a chance against them." Goten, with a perplexed expression, whispered to Trunks, "Something's weird. Did you notice it?" Trunks nodded. "Yeah, he seems weaker. If that's all the power he's got, he's no match for us." Goten stepped forward defiantly. "Don't sweat it. I've got this." The air exploded as he lunged to attack. "How utterly predictable," the villain muttered. With a mere flick of his hand, an invisible wave enveloped Goten. The young Saiyan's face contorted as blue flashes appeared within his golden aura. What is this? My power! It's vanishing!" "What are you saying?" Trunks exclaimed, incredulous. Piccolo watched, his eyes wide. "That was Gravek! You didn't warn us about this, Halira." Halira, her face distraught, shook her head. I had never seen this. I only knew about his mind control. This is different." Gravek lunged forward in a flash, taking Goten by surprise with a brutal blow that sent him crashing into a building. The impact kicked up a violent cloud of dust. Piccolo opened his eyes in alarm. "He can suppress his opponent's ki!" Goten emerged staggering from the rubble, while blue flares continued to emerge from his aura. "No, it can't be. I barely have a fraction of my strength." "I call it arcane suppression," Gravek said coldly. "Goten, get back!" Trunks shouted, furious. He lunged at Gravek, transforming into a Super Saiyan and unleashing a barrage of punches and kicks with all his speed. This time, he managed to land a direct blow to the villain's face, sending him back a few meters. "Take that!" But Gravek raised his hand again, and a second invisible pulse enveloped him. Trunks felt the color of his aura change. "Me too!" At the same time, Goten's aura glowed golden once more, with no blue traces. "And now, my power is back," he exclaimed, clenching his fists firmly. With a roar, Gravek slammed Trunks into the ground with a single blow, leaving him on his knees. Piccolo, observing, grit his teeth. "I see now. He can only use that technique on one target at a time. If he concentrates on one opponent, the other regains their strength." Goten, understanding, shouted to his friend while catching his breath. "Trunks, it's like in video games. One tanks, the other strikes." Trunks stood back up, his eyes burning with determination. "This isn't a game. But yeah, the strategy is good. Let's coordinate." Gravek wiped his face, wearing a sadistic smirk. "Taking turns, huh? Go ahead. It will be fun to watch you cling to that futile hope." The golden auras of the two young Saiyans exploded again. This time they would not lunge alone. They would advance together, prepared to test the enemy's strange technique to its limit. The ground cracked under the feet of the two Saiyans as they raised their auras. The wind swirled around them, kicking up debris that floated in the air like leaves caught in a hurricane. "Ready, Goten?" Trunks said, his eyes fixed on the enemy. "Always," his friend replied with a confident air, despite the tension. With a synchronized roar, both lunged at top speed. Gravek barely had a second to react before Goten appeared in front of him, unleashing a flurry of punches so fast they seemed like multiple arms glowing in unison. Take that, and that, and that, Goten shouted, his youthful tone contrasting with the violence of the blows. Gravek blocked with some difficulty, until he raised his hand and activated arcane suppression again. Blue flashes appeared in Goten's aura once more. "Not again," he managed to say, panting. In that same instant, Trunks appeared behind the villain, the golden light of his aura emerging with force. "Then it's my turn." With a spinning kick, he struck Gravek's back and sent him into a stone wall that crumbled into 1,000 pieces. The enemy emerged from the dust, furious, with a twisted grimace. Interesting. One loses strength, but the other strikes. A useless dance. "We'll see about that," Trunks bellowed. They exchanged a look and, in perfect sync, switched roles. Now it was Trunks who charged forward, launching a punch aimed at the villain's face. Gravek applied the suppression on him this time, and the blow lost momentum instantly, while blue flares erupted from his aura again. "Tch, I knew it," Trunks thought. But then Goten appeared from the side, completely free of the effect, and landed a brutal knee to Gravek's abdomen that made him spit out air and stumble back several meters. "It's working, Trunks," Goten exclaimed with a triumphant laugh. "He ate that one." Trunks, regaining his strength as he was released from the effect, exchanged a knowing look with Goten. "Then it's just a matter of taking turns until he breaks." Piccolo, who was watching the fight, nodded gravely. "Yes, but don't get overconfident. We don't know if he's hiding anything else." Gravek wiped the corner of his mouth. He looked at them with fury and a frozen amusement. "So you have discovered the weakness, but that does not mean you can defeat me." His dark aura crackled like a fire, enveloping the city streets. The rubble began to rise. The ground trembled under the pressure. Trunks swallowed hard, tensing his fists. "I think he's taking this seriously now." Goten let out a forced laugh. "Well, at least that means we're annoying him." The two friends dropped into their stances, ready for the next round. The true test of their strategy was just beginning.